Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Millet. Today I'm here with Matt, the developer of Streets of Rogue 1, and hopefully also the developer of Streets of Rogue 2, the reason we're all here for today. Matt, how are you doing today?
I am doing a-okay. Been a busy day so far. It's only 11 o'clock here right now, but yeah, I am all set and ready to go and answer a bunch of questions about this here game and sequel, I guess.
Right, speaking of, I will ask this question right at the start to make it a lot easier. Is this
Okay.
actually called Streets of Rogue 2, or what are you planning to call this game?
It's probably not going to be called Streets of Rogue 2, just because I think that sort of implies that, it's like a direct sequel and you might have, people might be like, oh, do I have to play the original first or what? And I mean, it's not really what I'd call a spin-off. It's certainly a sequel, but I don't believe it's going to be called Streets of Rogue 2. Top contenders for a name right now are, I guess, I mean, I have a list, but it might be Streets of Rogue World. Could be World of Rogue. I don't think I want to drop the Streets of Rogue thing though, because it has sort of a recognition there, I guess. But
It has a vibe.
what's that?
It has a vibe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just so ridiculous at this point. Even using the name Streets of Rogue was ridiculous to begin with, and it has the Streets of Rage connection, and now it's like it's expanding even more into its own thing, but it's still keeping this weird connection to Streets of Rage, I guess. So.
Hmm.
But because of the name recognition, I guess I gotta keep it. So it'll probably be Streets of Rogue World, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
Well, either way, now that you mentioned that, is there actually inspiration from Streets of Rage that you took to make this game? Streets of Rogue 1, that is.
There was a little bit. I mean, like just sort of the idea that part of it was I thought about like what if initially when I was thinking about the game, I was thinking like what if you expanded like this world of Final Fight or Streets of Rage into like an actual like world where people are doing real things instead of just trying to murder you. But you still have elements like chicken in trash cans and things like that, right? I mean, so that was sort of the initially a little bit of inspiration, but I had much bigger inspirations for the game as well. So, um, but I don't know, the name just sounded catchy. So, and plus, like I figured, well, if it grabs people's attention, then that's a good thing because this is an indie game, and you got to get attention where you can, because there's a lot of indie games coming out. So even if someone's like, oh, Streets of wait a minute, it's not Streets of Rage. What is this thing? What? I've still got their attention, which is ultimately probably for the best. So
Well, based on the amount of interview questions that were submitted, I'd say there definitely has been some well-deserved attention towards this great game. That said,
thank you.
is there anything about Streets of Rogue 1 that you really want to take with you to the sequel?
Well, a whole bunch. I mean, the entire sequel is based off of the code base of the original game. So, I mean, it's like a greatly expanded version of the first game with a totally different structure. I mean, there's a lot of procedural generation in it. Um, yeah, I'm talking really broadly here, I guess, about the game, but yeah, a lot of procedural generation in it, but the structure is totally different. It's not a roguelike in the sense that you're not going to be playing through a series of levels, and then if you die, you have to start back at the beginning again. It's more structured like an open world game. Hence why Streets of Rogue World would be sort of an appropriate title for it. But a lot of stuff from the original game is going to be returning, including like probably most of the different types of classes. I mean, the way that characters are built is going to be quite a bit different in this game, but you'll see a lot of returning classes, a lot of returning items, objects from the game world. Um, Everything will be updated to fit the new form of this game, but I'm trying to reuse what I can where I can because I'm just cheap that way, and I like to reuse things rather than
Well,
recode new things.
I mean, as a programmer myself, I definitely see that as a commendable work advice. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a lot to be gained by reusing assets. But that said, I did hear in one of your blog posts that you did mention the art style is gonna go undergo some shifts. Do you have anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, so that's in the process of happening right now. So at the beginning of the year, I started working with a full-time artist on this game. Previously, with the previous game, the art was sort of divided between the backgrounds were done by a contractor and Matthew Weeks, and then the rest of it, like he did the like the wall textures and the ground textures, and I had done the characters and the objects in the game and everything else. But I don't really like doing art that much, and also, I'm okay at it, but I'm not a professional by any stretch. And I mean, the guy I got right now doing it, um, he's I haven't revealed who it is yet, but he's very experienced, pretty well known. He has a lot of Twitter followers, like 45,000 or something. He's really good at what he does, and also he's been great to work with. So we've been sort of just trying to make the game look like something that isn't just a total like indie project this time. I mean, it's still using pixel art. It's just like way more cohesive, just way better. Um, I don't know. You'll have to see it when you see it, but I'm pretty excited about the new look of the game.
I think a lot of people are excited to the day that we can see a glimpse of the art. That's definitely great to hear. Um, On the topic of art, there is also another kind of art a lot of people have been asking about, which is the music of the game. I think one of the things Streets of Rogue really is known for is that banger of a soundtrack when you open the game. Is Craig Barnes returning for the sequel?
Craig Barnes will be returning for the sequel. Yeah, yeah. Craig, we're actually we're trying to get his contract together right now. Actually, like that's sort of in the process of happening. So assuming that all goes well, yeah, he'll be back doing the music and the sound effects. So yeah, excited to work with him again because it's been a while.
Now that's amazing to hear. Um, Speaking of the feel of Streets of Rogue 1, you have mentioned that it's undergoing a shift from shifting into a more of an open world game as opposed to a roguelike. However, will certain aspects of roguelike games be preserved? And when I say that, I mean such as replayability. Like, I think Streets of Rogue 1 is very well known for the fact that you can just keep playing it over and over and
Yeah,
over.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, in the sense that the entire game world is going to be procedurally generated. It's an open world, and a lot of open world games and even roguelikes have sort of like a. I've seen a lot of games do this thing where they have like procedurally generated dungeons and like a static open world, but here everything is procedurally generated. The world and the quote unquote dungeons. I mean, the way it works is I'm calling dungeon is like anything where you go into a new area. Could be like a building, could be an actual dungeon, could be a cave, could be whatever. Um, but yeah, the whole thing's yeah procedurally generated. I'm trying to keep that whole aspect where you play as a different character and you might have a completely different experience from the previous time that you played. Like you're playing through the game as a zombie, for example. I mean, you're going to find that people are maybe not that interested in talking to you, or maybe even might want to shoot you on sight, as in the previous game. Whereas if you're playing as, say a bartender or something like that, well, you're going to have the opposite experience. People are friendlier to you. You're friendlier to people. People like you. Uh, it's keeping a lot of the same aspects of the game, just expanding it out a lot to, um, yeah, so it should be super replayable. Yeah,
Well, I, for
that's
one,
the
am
idea.
very glad to hear that. Though that does make one wonder, how is it in terms of progression? Because when you say that in terms of replayability it will be the same, does it have that roguelike feel of restarting from the start with no items, or is that still something that's being worked on?
I mean, it's definitely not going to work like that. I mean, I'll probably add a permadeath mode because I'm sure there's going to be some masochists out there who want that sort of thing. Yeah, the game is going to have mutators again, by the way, so I'll probably put in like a permadeath mutator, perhaps, so when you die, you're actually dead, and you just have to restart all over. But for most people, I think the game is going to be a much more forgiving experience. It's not. I don't want it to be super easy, obviously, but no, if you die in this open world game, I'm not sure how death is going to work exactly, but you're definitely not gonna. It's not gonna be super punishing. Um, it'll probably be more along the lines of what you've seen in other sort of open world and like crafting type games and that sort of thing. There'll be penalties, but you know that's all.
So,
So yeah, again, I'm not totally decided yet, but you get the idea.
no, I definitely think though that there are people happy with you saying there will be a permanent mutator. Um, But moving on, speaking about mutators, some other systems that used to be in the last game that definitely I think are a big part of why the community is still very excited about this game are the modding support, the speedrun support, and the Steam Workshop support you've been maintaining. Uh, this gives a lot of interaction for the community. Is that method still going to stay the same in Streets of Rogue 2?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd still like to, support modding and hopefully to a greater degree in the sequel if I have the time. I can't promise exactly when that will occur. Like, when the game will when it goes into early access, that probably wouldn't be my top priority. But yeah, with the original game, what I found was, I offered the ability to do custom levels and things, but people also found other ways to mod the game, to a greater degree. Um, there's a website called Rogue Lives, which is linked. If you go to like the Steam community section, you can find it, where they tell you all about how to mod the game. And if you go on the Discord for the game, uh, you can find all sorts of stuff as well on that. And I actually talked to the person behind Rogue Lives, and I'm trying to make my game's code a little bit more friendly towards that sort of thing this time around. And hopefully, I can get the chance to maybe even allow people to upload those sorts of mods to Steam Workshop this time. I can't promise anything, but that's what I would like to do. In addition to allowing people to create their own areas for the game, their own. I'll still include the level editor as well. Um, so so yeah, hoping to have more mod support this time around.
Okay, that's great news. I think those mods really added to the replayability for me as well, to the replayability for the game for lots of other people. Um, but speaking about playability in general, is there anything planned for the platforms this game will be released on?
Most likely, all of the major platforms like the previous one was. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure when this game is released, if it's a popular platform, you'll be able to play it there at least once it's out of early access. That's the plan, at least.
Okay. Which also brings me to the next question, and that's about multiplayer. Uh, are there any specific plans for that, or is this going to be a more single player focused experience?
No, it's still going to have multiplayer, still going to have the local co-op and the online co-op, just like the previous game. So yeah, right now it's looking like 4 players. Maybe in the future possibility for more. Not sure just yet, but yeah, the multiplayer was one of the big things people enjoyed about the previous game. So I'm not going to be removing that.
Yeah, another thing that I believe a lot of people enjoyed, at least I know I personally did, was character customization. Is that also still going to be an option?
Oh yeah, yep. Still going to be able to customize your character at the beginning of the game. Again, like and I haven't actually begun work on this aspect of the game yet, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, character customization and progression is going to work quite a bit differently in the sequel. But yeah, the actual ability to create your own character at the beginning of the game, in addition to choosing a bunch of pre-mades, that's still going to be a thing.
That's completely fair. Is there anything you are working on that you could share with us as a fun little detail?
Um, Anything I am working on, just in general, in just anything
I
in the
mean,
game.
as for example, I heard something about cars and diagonals.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I think I posted that on on the last Steam news thing. Yeah. So the game is going to have diagonal walls this time around, which was like the biggest, continues to be the biggest pain in the ass in the world to implement. Actually, surprisingly so. But I think it's worth it because it looks cool. It does give the game a more kind of like organic feel rather than I'm trying to make the game look less tiley this time around. So yeah, that's a thing. And cars are a thing. You know, cars work. Um, yeah, I spent a bunch of time last year working on the cars and artificial intelligence for NPCs in cars, and you know the driving model and all that. And yeah, I'm liking the way it feels right now. Um, yeah, I think one of the questions actually that I had seen on your big website that people had asked was like, how does the car handling work? I guess I got to talk about that. So it's kind of interesting. Like I was looking for different games that were top down games for like a model of how cars should handle, and like there's the old Grand Theft Auto games where it's
Right,
like
yeah.
you press up and you accelerate, down, decelerate, go backwards, and then left and right. It's turning, but I found that to be really kind of awkward. I don't know, it just didn't feel right to me. I'm gonna maybe allow for the option of that if you want it, but and then uh, I was looking at other games like the Retro City Rampage, and the sequel or sort of sequel, Shakedown Hawaii, where they offer that option, and then they offer this other option where it's like you just basically turn on a dime, and like you're going one way, you press the other direction, and then you just turn around. The car just flips around, and which kind of makes it so that like why would you want to even use the acceleration, deceleration, left turning thing if you can just do things easier this way? So um, my solution is kind of a mix of these different things. So it's like to describe it. So when you press up, say you're facing north and you press
Right.
up, you're going to go north. If you press left, your car is going to turn left. Like so you're gonna it's gonna turn a little bit, and you're going to be going forward and left, and then eventually you'll just be going left. All right. If your car is facing north and you press down, then you move backwards. I mean, then the question might be, so all right, so how do you just turn around? Well, you just press left, and then very quickly after press down, and your car just spins and turns around. So it's kind of weird to describe it, but it works pretty well in practice.
Sounds
And you
like there will be a lot of skill-based drifting possible, which,
uh, possibly, I mean, like the turning is pretty is like I wouldn't say it's like exactly like like an RC car or micro machines or something like that, but it's the cars turn pretty fast in this, and when you bump into walls and stuff, like there's actually right now there's not even like a penalty for bumping into walls. It's kind of like bumper cars almost. It's just like a fun kind of. I'm not going for realism at all here. I'm just trying to make it fun. So um, yeah, hopefully, yeah. I mean, there's still probably a bunch of tweaking to do, but I like the way it's working right now.
so when you say fun, can I imagine sowing chaos with cars, such as driving over NPCs or crashing into walls?
Of course, yeah. You can crash through walls actually in some cases. Yeah, like if you're driving like a certain type of vehicle, yeah, you could like crash through like a wooden wall or a weaker wall or something like that. That's a possibility.
So does Streets of Rogue 2 or Streets of Rogue World maintain that kind of mentality where everything can be destroyed in some way or another?
That's the idea. Pretty much everything that isn't like hyper important. Like in the original game, I think the only thing that one of maybe the only thing that couldn't be destroyed was like the elevator. Everything else I think could be destroyed unless I'm not mistaken. But
I'd want to
that's sort
say
of
the mayor's head, but even that one can be yeeted away.
yeah, you can't. Well, you can't destroy items unless you throw them down a hole, which in that
Right.
case you could. That would lead you to a different ending. Um, right, but yeah, every like environmental object can be destroyed as of currently.
Okay. In that case, I just want to ask, is there anything that you've got to share that you just really want to shout out here?
I really want to share about the game at this juncture. Um, I don't know. I'm just real excited about like I'm just real excited about continuing to work on it at this point because like a lot of the tough technical stuff. I mean, that's sort of been development so far. Development has not been easy so far. I'll be completely honest. Like I've been working on this for about 2 years at this point in like full time and not. Uh, I mean, I'm still continuing to do bug fixes and stuff on the original game, but I really kind of switched gears over to this game a couple of years ago, and yeah, I mean, like just getting the whole thing, get, making this game into an open world has been challenging to say the least, and just making all of the old systems work in this new open world context. Everything from artificial intelligence to the way the player interacts with objects, to the online multiplayer stuff. It's been a big giant technical challenge and at times a big nightmare. But I'm sort of coming out of that part right now, and I'm eager to actually add more in the way of actual gameplay. Because right now, like everything's working. It's just there's not a whole lot. I have a lot of plans, but there is just not a whole lot of like game there. Like there's not much in the way of a structure at the moment. So still quite a bit of development to go. But don't hold your breath for it to come out anytime like in the near future. But yeah, I'm not saying anything about release dates just yet. But I
Hmm.
have an idea in my head. Um, but I will say it won't be this year. That's all. That's all I'll say about that.
No,
Um,
that's completely understandable. Okay, in that case, I do have a final question for you, and
sure.
this is then mostly related to the story and the kind of vibe of Streets of Rogue One, and that is this very important question. Will the cycle of life finally break?
um, that's a good question. Yeah, so I don't think that's ever possible in this universe. I think that people are just gonna do what they're gonna do, and then things are just gonna keep continuing until the world gets destroyed. That's probably how the real world is gonna work as well. Unfortunately, the climate change and all that. But uh, yeah, circle of life. No, I don't think it was broken. Um,
Okay, well, you hear it
or,
here, folks. Hold
yeah.
on to your chicken nuggets, otherwise the Major is gonna take them. In that case, Matt, I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this small interview, and just in general for developing this amazing game and probably likewise as amazing sequel we hope to see in whenever it comes out.
All right.
Uh,
Well, thank you. I appreciate the interview. It's been a lovely chat.
yeah, furthermore, to all those that are watching, we hope you really enjoyed this interview. It was meant to come out a little bit earlier, but due to some personal obligations, there was a small delay. But we hope you have enjoyed this interview. In case you are still left wondering with some questions, or maybe even have suggestions for the new game, or just want to interact with fellow Streets of Rogue fans, there is a Streets of Rogue Discord that will likely be linked below the stream. Live uh, video. I can speak. Amazing. Either
Yeah, if
way,
you if you have like suggestions or whatever, you can post them in the suggestions part of the Discord or on my or in the Steam forums as well, because I check everything. I read all that stuff. Or just send me a message through the game. I'll read all of those as well.
All right, and with that said, we hope you have an amazing day.